Welcome everyone to another report, daily vlog report from our Xrcode increasingly testing everything open source lab. In today's episode, finally network booted Power Macintoshes 2. Earlier I tested the G5, didn't really report on that, and now the G4 cube. And as per usual, by the way, is there, what did I do now here? And immediately found a bug. Of course, the G4 cube, I've shown this previously here on this channel. That worked, of course. DRM, Direct Rendering Manager, acceleration is broken since a while, and 3D acceleration removed from latest Mesa. But this does not stop us from using it nonetheless. But I found one serious bug. So each test, not only I should have done it decades ago, I somehow never bothered to network boot the Power Macintoshes. That works quite nicely with grub 2. So building up here our test infrastructure and like rapidly faster than ever finding and fixing bugs. Case in point, even my own bug, because turns out the latest kernel didn't instantly boot, but it was entirely my own fault. So each of this, what do I have here? All right, I need to clean up here some stuff. This is from testing. And unfortunately, because the symptom was that the new T2 build did not boot at all and crashed very early without any visible output, that is of course the worst. If you would see nothing and don't even know what's going on. So I unfortunately easily wasted an hour on my own bug. That's also what we're testing for, right? Every bug I don't find is that you playing at home will find on your P3 or sheer Octane. And this bug would have affected many builds, not necessarily only this one. Did I delete this here? Which was super trivial. A recurring theme, what's not tested is broken, and even the most trivial bugs of my own. And the bug was simply the way I scripted something. So basically I touched it already 2 times. Like I touched it once, I broke boot. Basically for the P3 and optimizing things here. And now it broke the P3 and I touched it again and I broke it differently, like it booted on the P3. Super trivial stuff, but recurring theme, that's what, even when people who think they are so great as myself, I break stuff, right? Like even I break stuff despite 25 years experience. And what did I break? I didn't even have to tell you, right? But we want to learn something. It's also this is the stuff, at the end of the day, you test stuff on a Sunday and that's the result, right? Like wasting an hour on this nonsense. The nonsense I wasted on here is in the init.rd, and that is also why init.rd init, why there was no output. So this crashed here very early, and because I didn't see something, it took a while, like an hour of guru meditation. And that's why we need to test everything, right? Not like it built something in the Linux kernel. That is, I criticized it in the Linux kernel, although I have tested that, but not enough, right? Because this is making frame buffer more modular, and I had here this fallback because this doesn't autoload in the Linux kernel. So I had this fallback of if no frame buffer subsystem and stuff, then try to load here some open firmware. Yeah, it's a little bit hacky coded. It mostly only affects PowerPC, theoretically Spark, but this kernel module doesn't work on Spark for implementation marginalities on some Spark open firmware, but that's another thing. I want to keep this simple, right? It makes no sense like if PowerPC is like, no, it's just like try to load it. If it's not there, maybe it will work in the future on Spark and whatnot and whatever, right? Or maybe it could even work on OLPC 1 if the x86 build of, because OLPC 1 laptop per child actually has a very cursed, probably only device ever. BIOS sucks, let's use open firmware, right? If you didn't know, now you know. Today you learned OLPC x86 with Geode, or I don't know, with VR2, I think later, anyway. So yeah, long story short, what did I break here? I wrote this short form here, and so my thinking was like, and I touched this a second time already, right? So I added here because either this proc.fb file is not there if the frame buffer subsystem is fully modular, or it might be empty, like the file might be there but empty. So how does this break? Like this looks totally innocent, like I touched it up already a second time, still crashed. The thing is because it kills the shell. How does it kill the shell? Because I actually knew that. I somehow thought it, but yeah, it's not C, right? So it's not C. The shell, how does this crash? When I wrote this, even I, with 25 years of shell scripting experience, did not think enough. And that's why we need to test everything. What's not tested is broken. Case in point here, even my own code. I thought like if this, so either it doesn't exist or otherwise read the file. So reading the file like this breaks. I knew that, I just didn't think enough about that in this case, right? Well, how does it break? Because the short form of shell built-ins here of shell substitution, this is reading in a file, it's a somewhat short form. This traps the shell with an arrow. I know that. I just thought, like, yeah, if file does not exist, but no, this is not how shell works, right? So the shell evaluates the whole thing and then passes everything of this angle brackets in its internal interpretation and only then starts, like, I believe in old-fashioned times there is even if you never knew that, there is even a program for that, right? I don't know if I would need to review like 40 years of Unix legacy if the very first shell, like if you maybe have never seen that, but yeah, it's there, right? Like there is a test program and angle bracket program. I don't know if probably it's there. I mean, I've never kind of used it. Modern high performance shells have a built-in for that, like Bash and stuff, right? But maybe even old-fashioned stuff like 40 years ago, like if you know, I would need to review the original Unix source code. Anyway, so we need to change this to cat. Like I booted that already, right? So we have a shell like here. We could also, by the way, so I built Lua earlier. So I booted that, right? So uname. So that is already, yes, I fixed this. I just manually quirked that. So now we need to, like, after we manually confirm that is the issue. Like here, and like this we break it, like. It's so ridiculous. It's so sad. It is what it is. So it's also not cat, but cat. Obviously, we want cats and kitten and more and the most. So to hide the errors, so if this file doesn't exist, so this test is not. I mean, you know what? Basically, then we don't need this test actually, because if we already read this, like, we don't. It's like, you know what? If that is 0. Def null. So yeah, let's hide this error. Otherwise, if this file doesn't exist, we get a error printed on the screen. So if that is 0, so we don't need the other test anymore. So YOLO whatever, read that. Yeah, then not probably. Theoretically, we may need other fallbacks in the future. Does it make? Yeah, better leave it like that. And so we could have. It is even possible, maybe that is how I broke PS3, because now I wonder, maybe that is the reason I had some builds that did not boot on the PS3 and I didn't have output, so maybe, and so that's the thing, right? It could have broken any other build with fully modular frame buffer not having one by default, so yeah, if you're wondering, why do I test this vintage and retro stuff? But hey, it's freaking, so this is a freaking maxed out cube that Apple never sold it like this, right? This is nearly as maxed out. I believe some people YOLO'd a dual core in there, which I don't have. I'm only happy that is 1.2 freaking gigahertz, massive upgrade with 1.5 gigs of memory. What is set? So yeah, we have that fix. I should test that, but it's probably fine, right? Is there any typo? Do we see any typo? Probably not. Fixed init or d without fb to not kill the shell and panic the kernel. It's It is, yeah. Good that we tested this. So this kind of bugs are of course totally embarrassing, and this is why I need to do some testing, right? And that is why after 25 years doing T2, 5 years here now on YouTube and Twitch, we test faster than ever, and this is so amazing, this new. Yes, I should some other people do that, but certainly not Red Hat or whoever. Certainly not Oracle's Broken Linux, not that they would support PowerPC. And so that is of course totally amazing, right? I can increasingly just switch on here some machine and have it boot the latest T2 state and instantly know, like basically I could, like, if I would have them all plugged in, which I don't for saving the power brick reasons, I could just like on, and see, it's like, not that I would have 20 displays, or yeah, we can script it more. So coming up next, building up our increasingly amazing test lab infrastructure. Theoretically, we should power toggle them all, we should Ethernet wake them all, we should then automate it so that if it doesn't boot, like power toggle it, so I mean, not all have even a freaking reset button, right? I would also hope that it doesn't kill those machines if we force power toggle those with a relay or whatnot. Anyway, I'm happy that I tested this. I totally didn't expect that. So that is a total win-win, right? Like, even if I just have some fun, and not only do I need to test a variety of machines to make sure like stuff like PowerPC actually works, it is of course more fun. Like, there is no soul in latest and greatest, like it's boring Intel stuff, right? Like this kind of machines, like PowerPC open firmware, like a sane architecture, not like overly complex, cursed Intel and AMD stuff with CPU bugs. Nearly, probably, maybe CPU bug free, 3-scale, 7447 or 7445 or 7457 or whatnot. Sane architecture. The only thing is, there is one major regression, and that is since 5 years or whatnot, like if I start Xorg, it will lock up relatively fast. And that was working previously so much to all the kernel mode setting stuff, right? Here's the demask of that. And yeah, it's loading some Radeon driver. I have this card is also after market upgrade, right? I have here a relatively, I mean, it shipped with whatever, an RV100 or whatnot. What did it ship with? I think I probably documented that. So this is a totally maxed out cube, which kinda would still be usable as a thin client and just enjoy. Necessities for gracious, successful open source PowerPC living. So it came with a 450, which I have somewhere in some drawer. Good question. Where do I have it even? I believe I have it. I have the box somewhere. It's hopefully in. No, I don't. I don't have that because I auctioned it with it. I don't have the original CPU actually. It came with this VGA Rage 128, which I have probably somewhere. Most likely, or do I? Do I even? Maybe I don't have that either. Anyway, it came with that Rage, and the main reason, I mean, not only is 1.2 gigahertz more performance and a Radeon 7000, probably should document it there on the website. That is also more performance, but I believe the original card only had an analog VGA output, and this Rage Radeon has actually, does it even have, it has VGA, yeah, it has two outputs. It has an Apple display, ADC, Apple display connector, whatever that is called. And the benefit of that is, I have the DVI converter, right? So does this even recognize this as a VGA, internal, TMDS, DEC, whatnot, yada, connector, 1, 2, TV, what's even going on here? Oh, they have 0 DVI. Here. This S video connector is funny because it does not have, maybe that's wrong, it does not have S video. Anyway, so yeah, what is really sad is that if I run X, it locks up very quickly, like within seconds. With, I probably have that in, I tested that earlier already. This is in var log messages here of CP multiple boots today here. And that is the Linux graphics state, right? This card was fully working. This was my high-end workstation just 15 years ago. Certainly still, 15 years ago it was still already 10 years old, right? Which is why I got this dirt cheap on eBay 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And what is set is the regressions are just set, right? That kernel mode setting broke this 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, and nobody ever fixes it. And this code is too cursedly complex for me. I'm not debugging this, right? So what's happening is here, which is also kernel null pointer dereference. What the heck is that even? Faulting instruction address. No, this is not what I meant, actually. When did this happen? I didn't even see that. What usually happens is a ring buffer stall. Where even is it? That was earlier today. This was hours ago before I debugged the kernel. initRD stuff. I didn't even see that here. Kernel pointer dereference. Oops, bad area. Where the heck was that even? This might be unrelated. Here's a true bug. And there's also null pointer dereference. Let's just go back to here. That is a rebug. Here in probably here. TMM. This is also mode setting. Yeah, somehow the mode setting also acted up. But then this is what usually happens. GPU lookup, current fence ID, last fence ID, save dwords of command and ring 0, GPU reset succeeded, trying to resume. Yeah, and also the 3D was working, right? This was, together with Matrox in the 2000s, the flagship Matrox, MGA and Radeon, the true full open source and flagship, I think, ATI Radeon, I said it before, as far as I remember, hundreds, thousands or so of dollars financed by the Weather Channel there in the USA. And now it's just deleted, right, in Mesa, because, yeah. I probably should dig out some old release where 3D was working and just play some Quake 3 for kicks and giggles. But anyway, all the other stuff is working, including USB. I have here some USB deck, and because this doesn't have native sound built in, it came with some Harman Kardon based Pro Audio thing, which I don't have because my eBay Cube didn't come with it. So I have some USB deck on there, and that works. Some Quadilix affordable USB deck thing here, and that flex, where did I, probably here, and that just plays audio just fine, like people do with FLAC decode stuff, piping this to AirPlay. Anyway, another day, another bug, another test case. I also booted G5. G5 came up. X also was working, and also my patches, previous Xorg stuff fixes. I believe the last time I tried this, probably X crashed. And the only thing is Sway you can't use, unfortunately, because it needs working GL, right? So with the GL drivers deleted, you don't have Wayland. So much to why don't you use Wayland? Yeah, you have GL on all your old vintage and retro things. Anyway, let's commit this. I committed this. Another day, another test. That is certainly welcome. And that is how you maintain a Linux distribution, right? Some change and improvement a day. All right, we also wanted, I need actually to test it. What I probably will do, because we also fixed Cling, contributing developer enabled some language server stuff that broke some other details of Cling. Fixes also already earlier today on Twitch, which is of course amazing. And this is how we keep a Linux distribution maintained. So we can delete all this stuff. What other stuff do we have here? Also fixed bootstrapping Mesa with forcing the Rust target for experimental Novo as scripts function. Yeah, Rust. See there. I now wonder if Sway did work on. I believe Sway did work on 35. I believe I tested that. Somewhat tempted. It's probably fine. So yeah, I guess we delete the builds completely. The last builds yesterday were disturbed by the Clang breakage anyway, and now I also fixed Rust. And we certainly want this specifically tested, so then build all parallel 20-ish of 32 threads. What else do we need? We do have our tempfs thing here. Maybe actually makes this 100. Maybe we make here a variable out of that, because I tempfs 100, and if we build all, then we make this just tempfs. It's a 40 or so, right? Then I don't need to always manually. Actually, you know what? We could actually not limit that. This is just my internal build all driver. That is not really relevant for you playing at home. The only question is, which base image do we build now? We build ARM and stuff, PowerPC LE and PowerPC Valent, all the others. Here is IR desktop. Okay, that probably makes sense. What did I want to use? What did I want to use? 20 or not? So build all of that with yeah. So and then we finally have new test builds for the mainstream architectures, with hopefully the last bugs fixed, including last night, probably on Twitch. I also fixed Spear vtools, right? So now, and updated them. Previously, when we tried to update them, they didn't even want to update, because if they are slightly out of sync, they don't build. So absolutely amazing. Also for you then, the latest Spear V. And oh, that's a cool dialogue. Okay, fine. Yeah. Somehow this is not the most performant right now. Not really sure. I probably should check the comments if I find my mouse cursor, which is hidden behind the cube. So this is Twitch stuff if you want to sometimes tune in Twitch and hang out for even more live development. I'm extremely satisfied, right? Like and that is totally priceless. Like not only your own solution, which supports one of the most architectures, and having this collector's pieces of outstanding computer history working on your desk. I just wish 3D was working. Like if this would be my Xorg or my kernel, I would not regress that, but this is just too time consuming for me to debug, right? Be my guest. I mean, maybe now with all the YouTube and Twitch growth, maybe you don't know, we have actually a feature bounty system, right? One of the only Linux distributions paying for features, like paying contributing developers. Of course, not for everything, because we are not yet millionaire working on that. But with all the recent YouTube and Twitch growth, we already give back more. And I said this before, but I can mention it again. We increased the bounties some 10-ish% and even added extra small. So if you want to contribute, maybe I should actually make a bounty. So some are super easy, right? Like, sure, this is only $10, but for some students, $10. They're also like €100, right? Like, we are not that cheap. We increase this, right? Like previously this was 50, we just increased this to 60. We have 100, whatever. Yes, that is not, you will not get millionaire with that, but this is my token of appreciation of people who really put an hour or two into there. And why do I do this? Because it's also too time consuming for me, right? I spent already all my free time I don't really have keeping all the other stuff working. I cannot fix every nice to have thing. And that is why if you want to implement some nice to have things, you can even get some 60 freaking $, for that. And maybe I should actually make a bounty of making, but the thing is, like, very few people, like, does it make sense to make a bounty that very few people have even a chance to work on? Although I believe probably it affects not only the G4 cube, probably there's a chance it affects all G4 with PCI AGP Radeon graphics, potentially, I would guess. So that's the issue, of course, right? Does it make sense to, like, yeah, 60 or 120 or whatnot bucks for fixing this, like probably debugging that whole weekend or whatnot? I don't have another G4, right? It's my only, I believe it's my only, it's like, I'm not that a crazy collector. No, I have actually, is this a G4? I recently auctioned myself an affordable Tybook. So I have two G4, right? Is this a G4? I don't even, did I make a hardware listing? Which also X did not really work. Surprise, surprise, X also didn't really work the most. But the cool thing is now with network booting, I can just take it out, network booted probably, hopefully fingers crossed network boot works on that, and have an instant test result, which is obviously way faster than previously writing some USB stick and or CD. Where's desktop? Oh, right, it's mobile also for Apple. I probably, yeah, Tybook, I added that one. Is that even, yeah, that is actually G4. Actually, it's a little bit slow. Actually, I can test that, but it also wasn't fully working. Maybe I tested a slightly older T2 build because I wanted to see 3D graphics working. What even graphic is in there? That is this is actually a newer Radeon. That is funny. That has, but yeah, it probably came out, I mean, yeah, it came out after the Cube. The built-in CPU is faster than the original Cube, but not faster, it's slower than my upgrade. So yeah, that is more modern, surprisingly, than the Cube, which now I wonder. But also the Mesa people just recently removed this. We still have theoretically a Mesa legacy package, which probably I should test more. I also did this wrong. Shit. I want to build this with Tmax. Always something I screw up here. Anyway, then you have those builds soon for you playing at home. I'm, despite the small bugs, so yeah, you see this, even I make bugs, right? You even see me sometimes an hour doing stupid things here because sometimes even I'm stupid and tired and whatnot. And don't see the tree between the forest or the forest between the trees. Anyway, I'm nonetheless thrilled in what great shape T2 is. It only took 25 years and 5 years live on YouTube, but increasingly stuff just works, and my test infrastructure becomes increasingly amazing. I will also redecorate the office hopefully sometime soon and stack some nice stuff there in the background that certainly will attract even more people. And let's see what comments we have there. I just need to find the right. So yeah, leave in the comments below what you think. What vintage and retro stuff do you want to use? Should distributed, wouldn't mind having one of those machines here in the Netherlands. Headless, always should. What do you mean? Should distributed? I wouldn't mind one of those machines in the Netherlands, headless or with a monitor even. What do you mean? I should distribute my machines? I, for years, collected them with my hard-earned money. You can find them cheap on eBay. If you want a G4, you'll probably find it between 50 and 150 euro. But I also gave stuff away. By the way, do I still have? But like I mean, not only do I give bounties away and a freaking like my lifetime of T2 Linux achievement, I gave already 4 or so machines away that I had duplicates of here. So I gave an UltraSpark 5 away, or 2. I gave 2 UltraSpark 5 away because I had 3. Of one I even purchased myself, 2 I got for free actually because nobody wanted them. I gave 2 PA Risk away, I believe. Is it all what else? So yeah, and I gave even an SGI Octane from my friend's basement away to a contributing open source developer, right? Which was not even part of this giveaway. So like, I believe I'm already quite generous on top of my generous open source T2 contributions. So new subscribers there, that is amazing. Really enjoying your explanations. Keep it up. Happy to hear that. Thanks for subscribing. Hope you enjoy and learn a lot. Change that neo fetch for fast fetch. We have fast fetch, but I don't like fast fetch. Neo fetch is nice. Shell scripting is nice. It's like we have fast fetch. I just don't like this hard-coded C code. It's like such kind of things are fine. This is the usual pre-major optimization. I would love though if we would have a JITed, like just-in-time compiled shell that would be blazing fast. That would be even cooler. Probably shell I can subscribe for amazing JIT stuff to come up. And lost like due to compatibility issues. Ring buffer is a typical kept ring buffer. Is it? Ring buffer, it's typically kept in okay by default. You mean the Radeon ring buffer? I don't know what's the use by default. Mesa deprecated 3D support in 2021. Yeah, they deleted it in the meantime. But this is kind of stuff. This code is super minimal. What we, however, will do, we will soon. I said this a couple of times, right? You see the previous YouTube videos. I've previously done low-level code for S3 Verge and Voodoo, like just example. Verge and Voodoo and stuff, right, on DOS with bare metal, just to get into the spirit here of doing that. And I will do a Radeon soon, as well as early NVIDIA, so like Riva TNT, just to have a collection of most minimal working 3D code for people, for myself and other people who want to get into that. And then let's see how difficult it is to get Radeon texture triangles. But this code, my case in point is also, this code is so simple. There is totally no, like this deletion, because it's like old low performance stuff like Dew. This is the most simple 3D hardware. Like the effort to keep this maintained is really minimal. These are the most simple drivers. And like if you can already not maintain the most simple drivers where even leaked hardware specifications out in the internet, then you really have a code maintenance problem, in my opinion. Question there. maybe already answered and a bit unrated, but is that i3 WM? No, that is Sway, that is Wayland. That is Sway, but Hyperland is also similar. And I should probably switch to Hyperland. I tried Hyperland last year already, which is also Wayland. By the way, do I have... Let's do some win-win on my Steam Deck. I'm live streaming, of course. Here I'm live streaming from a Valve Steam Jupiter 1 AMD custom APU 405. Putting my mouth where my money is, dog footing here, drinking my own champagne out of my T2 freaking Linux desktop with OBS, with Wayland, and so on and so forth, right? All right, this is also the wrong tree. Oh no, it is not the wrong tree. This is probably fine. And that is just how much stuff we do. Let's actually locally emerge Hyperland. Which is Sway, basically Sway and animated. And that is, if you're new to this stuff, T2, this is T2, right? Our amazing, the one last distribution you will ever need, supporting basically everything, even what is deprecated, including Itanium and whatnot. I would love to restore this in Mesa. We have a Mesa legacy package, which probably I should try. But even my time is not worth it, right? I do already enough and too much, obviously. Most people, including my girl, certainly would say I do too much open source. We have a microcon to do next, right? Of course, we will now that T2, this is basically the final polishing of T2 is done and nearly perfect, except dependencies and updates. Of course, we will continue to maintain that because it's one of my lifetime achievements of this amazing collection of architecture support. But then it's also time to move on to additional things. Again, move on additionally. Of course, we will keep T2 maintained with our data AI and ourselves here live on these channels. But I want to do an amazing microkernel. I said this before. And I want to prove a point and write more readable, starting with this vintage and legacy. Why? Because this modern stuff is even too complex for myself, right? I don't shy away from starting to write a microkernel and graphic drivers, but not this overly complex mess that are modern AMD, God forbid, NVIDIA, or at least somewhat maintainable Intel CPUs. So because we are not that crazy and don't want to build in Temple OS, we are only a little bit crazy. So we tackle an achievable microkernel. And that is also why 4 years ago I challenged myself writing this low-level code. This was already on the path of starting new code, bare metal on DOS, operating system-less, so that we need to do everything ourselves as a early enablement step for microkernel. It basically was, can I do that? And yes, I could do, including I'm the first who ever written. So also S3 Verge was once in Utah GLX 25 years ago, but was never really working, probably, or only a little bit working, which is also crazy, right? Like this simple 3D DS writer, it is crazy that 25 years ago, the Utah GLX, before that was Mesa also, they could not even get this simple S3 Verge to accelerate stable, which is absolutely mind-blowingly crazy. I did Lynx 3D, right? Which is the world's first. It was not even supported in Windows XP. The only vendor written like Silicon Motion Lynx 3D here in this OCO 01. Why did I do this? Because I have this transmitter efficient OCO 01, and I stumbled over leaked documentation for this Lynx 3D, and I was wondering, like, why has nobody ever written a freaking 3D driver for that? And it was a little bit challenging because it wasn't documented that this chip supports texture compression and always using it. So while I had something working, textures did not work as you see there. And it took me, I mean, writing the skeleton was probably an afternoon or two, but then it didn't work quite right and took me probably a whole weekend of guru meditation. Like I wasted probably easily 16 hours to realize that actually my code was working, just that the texture stuff needs to be compressed. So I had to, it's like, yeah, and that's the stuff, right? It was not mentioned with a single word that this Link 3D does. Not only, no, not compressed. Was it compressed? It was tiled. The texture was tiled. So it was nowhere mentioned in this bloody document and in this leaked register specification that the texture format is always tiled. Anyway, so that certainly proves that I can do it. It can be done. Just nobody wanted to do it, and maybe people lack the expertise. And the problem is, of course, in my opinion, the Mesa code was always not very readable, and the whole infrastructure with direct rendering manager with parts in the kernel and user space and stuff certainly did not add to a code architecture that people loved to work with or was easy to work with. Anyway, so much to that. I'm sure an amazing microkernel can be done, an amazing graphics subsystem can be done, but Xorg and Wayland are not it. And that is why I spent enough time on my to-do. I'm not fixing others, people cursed and broken graphic subsystem. I rather write the usual thing, 5 graphic subsystems sucked, and some crazy person writes another one. Anyway, that certainly will be more fun, more fulfilling, more fun, and more entertaining, and a learning experience for all of us. What is going on here with Hyperland? That maybe just another Wayland version. Hyperland. It needs hyperlang and cursor? Are you seriously? They really split this out in different packages additionally. You can never have... I mean, I updated that recently untested. Here's a wallpaper contest of winners. Yes, such kind of stuff we will, by the way, write, right? In our own graphic subsystem with graphic acceleration, we will recreate such kind of things of previous Windows screensaver or whatnot, flying toaster fame. If you need nice wallpapers, you find some there. Nice stuff. Let's see what's going on with... Also, we by the way, need to write all those architects. Like, if you want to do me a favor and cannot code and want to contribute anyway, always be my guest and free to ping all those upstream projects to have us listed, right? Like, there is no reason, and that's the difference. Why are we not more popular? Because we don't have users who annoy all those upstream people to please list us, right? So if you want to do me a free favor, choose your favorite upstream package and send them an email to list us too. So what is it? Hyper control. So it's like, do you know we need here all this hyper stuff apparently? It's partially a little bit annoying, to be honest. Can never have too many hyper packages, I guess. I wonder if for convenience we should actually build them all together in one thing, but hyper WM, do they really have, you know, hyper development repositories? What do they have here? Screen locking. You know what? We probably can do this live on Twitch just to not have this live stream unreasonable long with random stuff. People love more random stuff here on Twitch. Anyway, let's take one quick look in the comments and then finish here with some Hyperland packaging. What else do we have going on here? What would be the newest but still sane GPU that one could even write a driver for without needing to have a mega brain contain all of those quirks? Probably this Radeon generations. Probably this Matrox 450 Radeon, maybe this NVIDIA. Basically, when, I mean, later generations, of course, you can also do. It's just like each generation is an order of magnitude more work, right? Basically, when shader and fragment like shaders, like fragment and texture shaders or whatnot, or then unified shaders, because then you need to JIT code, like just-in-time compile code, the shaders, and with that everything becomes more and more complex, right? Then you need a compiler infrastructure for shader compilation, and so on and so on. So I mean, then with every generation, then you have more memory management. Like the old cards don't have an MMU, so then eventually the cards get an MMU, and then you need to do with more memory complexity. Like basically, after like fixed function you can still do on weekend projects, then with unified shaders it becomes more compiler stuff. And I mean, it can be done, right? It's just like I would start with the simple stuff and get a feeling and have some accelerated window blitting and movement going, and like then of course eventually we would also do that, but it might be then in a much more distant future. I mean, you could of course reuse LLVM and Mesa whatnot, but then it's not your own graphic architecture, then it's reusing Mesa. If you have MIP64 art, you'd be interested in, what do you mean with bartering? What means bartering? What word is it? I don't know this word, is it? I have MIP64, or do you mean testing? I don't know what you people need to write readable. Can you not write readable? Tauschhandel? What do you wanna swap? What do you wanna swap then? If you want to swap something. I don't really have MIP64 to spare. I gave my duplicate octane away for reasons. And I don't want to give my precious O2 away. Someone else wanted the O2 already, so... But I mean, it's also not other people would maintain O2 stuff, right? Yeah, but leave in the comments below what you want to swap if you want to swap something. What else do we have there? Maybe answered. You will need Mesa Ember branch for this rows. Older. Yeah, we have this. Is it called Ember? We have some Mesa Legacy. We call this Mesa Legacy. But do they call this? Alright, there might even be RK. Maybe there is. Maybe we can update something that's basically that. But yeah, it's also stupid that they removed that, right? So Radeon, did they delete MGA in that? Or why does it not list Matrox? After 21.3, yeah, 21.3.9, we have that. Yeah, this is just silly in my opinion, but what do I know? We will do those, right? So this are basically, the crazy stuff. These are basically those cards which I meant. Radeon, yes, the earlier Intel, Novo, DI for those early cards. I, by the way, I auctioned myself an NV1, right? I said this before, so I will try to do NV1 driver, which is using some quad, whatever, different, like not triangles, like quadrangle, whatever that was called. That's basically the first NVIDIA card, right? As usual, I waited 10 years to find an affordable one. I'm not spending 600 euro for this stuff. Like, I wait 10 years and always bid 50 euro, and eventually I win 10 years later. So they were using not triangles, but quadratic texture mapping. I believe there might be a leaked specification, or nearly leaked, or whatnot. But anyway, we will try to accelerate something on that probably. We know that T2 is in amazing shape, like 5 years catching up live on YouTube, fixing everything I had to fix, and now being in near perfect shape, I would argue. Now we can do the cool things. Yeah, Riva 128. I have no that I don't. I have TNT. It's probably TNT was the second, right? So I have some early cards. I didn't even have this. This is from my parents. Riva TNT 2. I have from what the first 10 card from my brother from 25 years ago from out of my parents' basement. Didn't even have to pay money for this. Vintage stuff. So this kind of stuff we will do soon, because with NVIDIA I also hate that neither the NVIDIA nor the Novo driver are particularly readable. So that is case in point documenting. Even for that, trying to get it work, like first just some textured triangles, and then we will build up on that and see what we can do with it. So yeah. Don't forget, share, like, and subscribe if you want to see that fun and learn something. Question, should I open? Would one be able to also fstat the handle and get no idea. Means LVM is its own dumpster fire, maybe wanting so maybe. That's exactly the thing, right? For me, I said this before, right? We will write some JIT thing. Maybe we write this JIT thing first. I basically want a Lua JIT size, like basically 99-ish% smaller than freaking the dumpster fire, the oversized dumpster fire. Yes, it will be 10% less performance or whatnot, but I want the most minimal, reasonable performance thing that should be 99%, like 1% of the bloody size of LVM. And yes, it will have less features and it will have less performance, but I want readable, debuggable, like, and we will see. Trap Access says NV rendered quads. Yeah, exactly. So we will try to get. So I will not do feature complete stuff, right? Even for my microkernel, first blitting windows and stuff, and then rendering some textured triangles or flat ground shaded and textured triangles. We will probably try to get some kind of early game running, but it will not be super top-notch feature complete, right? If others want to join, I hope then of course others want to join and add some features or whatnot. But the point is, like tiny GL, like useful, not necessarily feature complete, but most minimal viable, like can flat ground and textured triangles in some reasonable way that is usable at 1% of the size of Mesa, right? Like truly beautifully readable code. That is my goal. But anyway, we digress here as usual. 3DO Saturn out of the PS1. When they not sleep, difficult to share source code. On the other hand, it's difficult to share source codes. On the other hand, you know. What do you mean? Hello, René, not sleep? It's difficult to share source code. On the other hand, you know that you... I don't even know what you mean. Anyway, let's go over to one more quick Twitch live stream and package here some Hyperland stuff. And hope you enjoyed it, learned something. As always, leave in the comments below what you think. Wish Cube would have 3D. I probably... that is a sad thing, right? It probably doesn't make the most sense to run the latest version if 3D acceleration. Like, it was so usable, right? Like, it was 1.2 gigahertz G4 Radeon. It was a top-notch workstation. Even it was an amazing thin client. It's so frustrating. This regressions and feature deletion of really maintainable features is... Leave in the comments below what you think, and see you next time.